Welcome back to the North Sails Loft 57 podcast. I'm Charlie Enright, and this is our second episode looking at the Vendée Globe, where we try to grapple with what makes this event one of the pinnacle events in the sporting and sailing world. This episode will be getting a bit more technical as we speak to the teams and sailmakers behind the skippers. I chat to the CEO of TR Racing, who's managing not one, but two campaigns in the race. I then speak to one of the rising stars at North Sails, Max Tringale, a young American engineer who's showing his colors in the very French world of IMOCA racing, although he's also showed his patriotism by working for American Magic in the last Cup. And finally, I speak to one of the leaders at North Sails France, Thomas Normand, who takes us inside one of the busiest lofts in Europe and one which has worked with over half the fleet competing in this Vendée Globe. But first is Thomas Gaveriaux, the very impressive CEO of Thomas Racing, who is at the helm of one of the most sophisticated business setups supporting Thomas and Sam Goodchild. Thomas, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Charlie. Thanks for hosting us.
Our pleasure. Perhaps you can give us a little intro, a little bit into your background, what you do on the team, and kind of where you came from.
I'm the CEO of TR Racing. I have a background in naval engineering and an executive MBA, and have spent most of my career on sporting programs. Firstly, sailing like inshore and offshore, light offshore racing, I should say, before joining Thomas Gaveriaux in the mid-2000s in the buoyant Ormer trimaran circuit when it was light, before taking the lead of his first maxi trimaran program in 2005. And then after that, I spent some time on the America's Cup. I participated in 3 editions as the project coordinator or design coordinator with Oracle and Luna Rossa. And after which I spent some time setting up an industrial group in Dubai and then running the marine division of the Persico group, the Persico Marine in Italy.
Wow, that's a lot to cram into a lifetime. All right, let's talk a little bit about the boats. They both have the same name, both called Vulnerable. I assume that doesn't mean that they're vulnerable competitors on the water. What's going on with the name?
Technically, actually, one boat is called Vulnerable,
okay,
and the other one Vulnerable. One skipper being French, the other one being English. It's a practical joke, but we launched the boats in April under those names, and what's behind it is a massive campaign that are initiated by our sponsor, Advance. Advance is a leader in cybersecurity in Europe, and they're using the occasion of our participation in the Vendée Globe to launch this massive campaign to sensitize our entire society to vulnerability.
I thought I had an idea of what it was all about, but you did a nice job explaining that. Certainly, I know more now. We had Imogen on a previous episode talking about some of the issues around social sustainability, and it sounds like this is very much in line with that. So we got 2 boats, Vulnerable in French and Vulnerable in English, I'll call it. Tell us a little bit about Thomas' boat. That came online in the spring of 23, right?
Correct. We launched the boat late March, early April 2023. It's a design that's mostly built on the experience and expertise of Sam's boat, which Thomas sailed in the Vendée Globe in 2020. But most of what was discovered as drawbacks in the design when competing in the Vendée Globe was clearly identified before the start of the Vendée and confirmed by the end of the Vendée that very tight rocker lines and a number of other aspects of the hull shape and different other details on the boat were not the best way to take on the round-the-world race. We needed a boat that's firstly capable of running through waves at high speed, maintaining high average speeds, and those were the main 2 targets of the new design. And it makes for a completely different hull shape, that's for sure, and a very different design.
Yeah, it was cool to see, and certainly have experienced sailing the IMOCA in the south. There are certainly some things that you could do to make the boat a little bit more forgiving, and it seems like you guys have kind of gone in that direction with Antoine Koch. And if I'm not mistaken, Antoine Koch sailed with Thomas in the TJV in the old Verdier boat, so has a pretty good handle on it, not only on paper, but on the water too. Is that true?
Yeah, Antoine is a very well seasoned offshore sailor. He has indeed participated in the Jacques Vabre in 2019 alongside Thomas. He was also alongside Sam in the 2023 Jacques Vabre on that same boat that he competed in 2019. And it's a real asset to have a naval engineer of the quality of Antoine, who's also an extraordinary sailor.
So is it safe to say that some combination of Thomas, Sam, Antoine, presumably yourself, other designers within the team, and then the sailmakers, is that who constitutes the design group?
The design group is made up of Sam wasn't yet part of the team when we launched the program, but it's built around there's a design team that's built around Antoine that includes the Finoconc design office, and then a number of other experts, mostly from the club. People like Bobby Klein-Schmidt, who's been designing hulls for Team New Zealand for a while. People like Guinole Bernard, who looks after all the rigging systems on board Luna Rossa. And then alongside that, we have a huge contribution and long-term relationship with the North Sails and Loft in Vannes, with Quentin Ponroy as the lead designer for all of our sail plans since 2019.
It's funny, I remember when in 19, when Thomas' boat launched, which is now Sam's boat, and that was the original Super 60, the sail plan was perceived to be at least quite radical. It had small jib areas and, a smaller square top main and, a bunch of these different things. And I think you've seen kind of the class trend in that direction, if I'm not mistaken. It seems like Quentin's done a nice job.
It definitely is a trend when looking at sailing offshore single-handed. Primarily what we've been looking for is, in that philosophy, is having a versatility in the sail trim while you're sailing single-handed. You can't be at the same time making yourself dinner or lunch or breakfast or whatever it is in what we can remotely call a kitchen, but or navigating or trying to sleep or looking at the weather, and at the same time constantly trimming yourselves. That doesn't really work in single-handed or double-handed transatlantic or around the world sailing. And it's very important to have a sail plan that has some tolerance to an approximate sail trim while maintaining as much as possible even speeds when whatever angle you're sailing at. So it's made for this, for the triangulation of our head sails to be quite specific. There's another choice of configuration of probably smaller head sails than most people run, which is really adapted for offshore sailing in breeze.
Let's talk a little bit about Sam's boat. It's the older generation, originally the Super 60. What kind of refit program has that boat been through, if any?
There's been a number of minor improvements that we've added onto the boat, but we've mainly looked at increasing reliability and giving Sam the best opportunity to make sure he finishes his Vendée. So the focus has been that, and for Sam on his side, make sure he was up to the game. I mean, that boat is a winning machine. Sam's proved it. He's finished third in every single race that he's participated in. So it proves that even though that's an older generation boat, the work that was put into it with the team that has continued with Sam, without major modifications over the last 18 months, is definitely a strong contender for challenging the newer generations of boats on the Vendée.
Having two great guys and two great sailors like Sam and Thomas, it must be good with the sharing of information and what have you. But at the same time, it's a lot to bite off preparing two boats for this race. During the beginning of the 11th hour racing campaign, we had two boats. That wasn't planned, but we never felt like we were totally able to take advantage of the training opportunities that presented themselves in that small window. But you guys must feel like it's been a great partnership, no? Having two boats?
It's been huge. The training with two boats pretty much essentially makes that, one, you have more resource to run both. You don't have double the resource in the team, but you have more resource than just on one. You prep all of your training and all of the racing with the same group. So the briefings and the debriefings and the daily goals and targets that you set out are shared between the boats. They're ticked off faster because you're not sailing on your own trying to figure out at what time during the day you're going to tick off your goal, but you've got another guy next to you pushing hard and trying to make sure he's going faster than you are, and vice versa. So it makes for, on the water, every training session that you do and every hour that you spend on the water is pretty much worth 3. On land, the scale's probably not quite the same, but it's definitely accelerated by at least 150%, if not 200%. That's the level of gain you make. So it's and we've hardly ever had the boats go out on their own. We always have both boats out at the same time.
So with 2 weeks left to the start here, what's your biggest role? CEO or shrink or what? What do these guys need to succeed once they push off the dock?
I guess for the biggest thing the Sam and Thomas need is space to rest and to keep calm. They're both we were in the 7. All 3 of us were in the 7 until last night. Both Sam and Thomas have gone away for a few days now. They're both eager to cross the start line, and this match is, I guess, the 3 weeks of standby in this app for them is it's exciting on one hand because it really embodies for Sam maybe 2 years, but for Thomas it's nearly 4 years of preparation to get here. So there's quite a bit of excitement with that, with the public coming around in this app to see the boats. It's been since I was there until last night, and the first week's been extraordinary. The amount of people that come and see the boats and go through the village is completely mental. It's huge. As far as my role, there's a bit of making sure that things run smoothly for both Tom and Sam, that they don't have to worry too much about anything else, and but that their agendas are set and not modified abruptly at any point between now and the start, and that they have the space they need to continue a bit of physical training, start getting into the weather quite soon, go through the last checks that they need to have on the boat, spend the time with their families, and get as much rest as they can before they leave. The other part of my role is making sure that the team that's propping the boats is in good spirits, good shape. It's been a long run to get there, and it would be easy to see everything blow up just before the start. So making sure everyone's calm and we're running this these last 2 weeks like we've been running the last 3 years, which is pretty much as linearly as possible.
Wow. I mean, socially, it must be so strange to go from a normal day to day to hundreds of thousands of people in the race village to all by yourself for 70 days. And then the next time you see civilization, hopefully, it's to spraying champagne and droves of people back in the Sable d'Olonne. So anyway, it sounds like you guys might be ready for a holiday after this Vendée Globe. Or are you guys already gearing up for the next one? Ocean Race Europe? What's the future look like?
Once Tom and Sam cross the start line, for sure, a big part of the team that will take some well-deserved rests. And then part of the team that'll be on duty watch during the entire race. So that's going to be quite intensive. We have a group of set of people to look after both boats in case of any kind of emergency situation that Thomas or Sam could face. We're not breaking off for 3 months. Most people are going to be breaking off 4 to 6 weeks, probably not very rarely in one shot. Most of them are going to break in 2 or 3 shots over that 3-month period because we've got to prepare the 2025 season. We're switching after the Vendée Globe from single-handed and double-handed programs to fully crewed with a view to line up on the ocean race in 2027, and that will start as early as next season with the Round Europe race and Round Britain and Ireland race that's just been launched or relaunched under a new name, the Course des Gaps. This is a different dynamic that we're gonna enter in. We've not been into that cruise mode before, and there's crew selections to go through. There's lots of thoughts to be put into different sail plans to tackle the ocean race around the world, crewed and with stopovers. It's a different exercise and different rigs than the ones we use. So it's pretty exciting.
You're a busy man. I'll let you jump. Thomas, thank you very much for joining us. And, best of luck to both Thomas and Sam in this crazy single-handed round the world challenge. We'll be watching with keen interest.
Thanks, Charlie. It's been a pleasure.
Thomas is a consummate professional with a world-class track record and a savvy business mind. It really illustrates how professionalized and international offshore solo sailing has become. Next up is my chat with one of the young guns in sail design, Max Tringale. An American swimming in international waters, he's impressing everyone with his knowledge and skill as he pushes the boundaries of sail technology and engineering. Oh, and he's still recovering from a years-long cup campaign in Barcelona.
It was definitely one of the most challenging things I've done in my career so far, but it was super rewarding. Like, you're constantly learning, getting to work with people at the top of their fields in this industry. And yeah, it was just a really incredible experience.
Oh, that's pretty humble of you. I'd say you're at the top of your field as well, young man. But as an American in the heart of Grand Prix racing, what's your perspective on the Vendée Globe?
Yeah, for me, the Vendée Globe is it's really kind of the pinnacle offshore, obviously shorthanded sailing, but really one of the pinnacle offshore events in the sailing world. And I think it's a pretty incredible challenge that these sailors sign up for and commit to, and really put their all into building up to this event every 4 years. And so for me, yeah, it's just one of the pinnacle events of offshore sailing.
You got a good taste of the IMOCA class through your work with the 11th Hour Racing Team. Can you share a little bit about how the sail designer relationship typically works in a Grand Prix campaign like that?
For the sail designer, for one of these campaigns, whether it's, like you said, like the Ocean Race or the Vendée Globe or the America's Cup, the sail designer is involved in quite a lot of areas. Obviously working on the performance side of the sail shapes and the structures of the sails and how the boat is performing, but also all the way through the team down to structural design, providing load cases for the boat, early stages, in the build phase of the boat and that sort of thing, as well as performance prediction and working with the other designers to make sure that they have the best tools available to make sure they're pushing the boat, pushing the design as far as possible. But yeah, so for a sail designer, you get to kind of be involved in a lot of different aspects of the team, and particularly when it comes down to getting the boat and sails on the water, you work a lot with the sailing team and the skippers, and going back and forth with them to make sure you're providing them with what they need.
Yeah, I mean, a word that people use these days is silos. You can't be operating in silos. You have aerodynamic forces, you have hydrodynamic forces, you have structure, you have engineering, and you have the opinions of the people on board. And it's kind of how the team, capital TEAM, kind of deals with all these things and makes it collaborative and efficient, that seems to produce success. You and I got involved through the late, great Gautier Sargent. And, he was adamant that for the 11th Hour Racing Team project, we bring along a younger generation. And maybe we did too good a job bringing you along because you left and you were off to the America's Cup. But one of the cool things about North Sails France is that they work as a team. And, the designers are really hands-on. The same people that design the sails are the people that bring them to the boat and go sailing and receive the feedback and work with the naval architects. It's pretty impressive how they work over there. Can you speak to that dynamic a little bit?
For sure. The North Sails France organization there has done a really incredible job, especially in the world of the IMOCA class and the Ultimes and this whole offshore sailing world that they have going on over there. And Gautier was certainly an orchestrator of that. And they have a really, really great team of Jan and Quentin and Matthew that work with all of these teams really closely. They've really done a great job building, a culture with all these different skippers where they are trusted. That office is very trusted to provide the best thing that each skipper needs, because like you said, a lot of it is working with the skippers and the sailors, and their needs can differ from boat to boat, or they have the different styles of sailing and how they want to optimize the boat. And that North Sails France has done a really impressive job at that.
So back to the technology for a second. I mean, you've spent time at the 3DI manufacturing facility in Nevada. For non-techies out there, can you outline why this technology is so impressive and why it's in such high demand, particularly in the IMOCA fleet?
Yeah, certainly. So the 3DI process is a unique process in North Sails, and essentially the reason that it is so sought after and is generally at the top of every part of our sport, including the IMOCA class, is that it is incredibly durable, especially for considering these boats and how dynamic and extreme conditions they go through. It's an incredibly durable material, and with that, this material really allows the designers to kind of have actually a lot of freedom and producing sail shapes and manipulating the structure of the sail to achieve the best sail shapes, and push the structure of the sail to the limits, while still hitting those lightweight, durable, longevity sort of targets that these sailors require.
Yeah, we talked a bit in another show about sail crossovers, and it used to just be area and flying shape. But now there's a ton of stuff that you can do with the structure to create more versatility. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny, just like kind of touching back on the AC a little bit. That is one of I would say is one of the biggest things that our designers probably focused on, was manipulating sail structures. And that is, it's coming into every part of the sport now. And for these, like you said, for working on these crossovers, we're able to use the sail structure in a way to extend the ranges of all these sails and manipulate the crossovers in a way that maybe allows you to have bigger crossovers, so you're not as caught out on a sail selection, and you can either have softer optimums across your sail selections, or allows you to have more different sails, like extend ranges in different directions, either uprange or downrange.
The IMOCA is not totally analogous to an AC-75, but when an AC-75 is in displacement mode, it's sometimes going 3 or 4 knots, and it's hard to watch on TV. But then very quickly, there's this giant step function in the performance, and they're going 25 when they're up on the foils, all the way up to sometimes 50 knots. And you have to have sails that are capable of doing all that. And the same is true in the IMOCA. These boats spend a lot of time displacing, and then once they're up on the step, there's a huge jump in performance. And particularly with the mainsails that don't get changed, around the conditions, you got to have a ton of versatility, because like the faster the boat goes, the harder the foil pushes, and then, on and on it goes. So can you talk a little bit more about just the structure and how that works, and just basically how foiling has impacted sail design over the last decade?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty drastic for sure. I mean, like you said, like in the IMOCA class in particular, in the last 10 years, they've gone from the dagger boards to the foils. I think between the 2012 and 2016 races, and the boats have just, like I said, the apparent wind speeds have all gone up, and the boats are sailing at faster apparent wind speeds on average than ever before. And that alone, just the apparent wind speed increase, has a big effect on the sail loading and what you need to do with the structure to make sure you're still maintaining your sail shape. And so for these boats, like in these mainsails where you're really looking to get the most range as possible out of it, you can do things with 3DI and manipulate the structure that allow you to, extend the range of the sail. So you're covering these wide ranges of apparent wind speed and apparent wind angle, making sure you can have the sail deep enough when you're in displacement mode and kind of struggling to get on the step, and then being able to flatten out as quickly as possible.
And then with the IMOCA, you have the addition of, reliability and durability, and being able to produce something that can spend 80 days at sea. So, I mean, that must add to the challenge, no?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like that may be one of the biggest differences is, between a inshore kind of Grand Prix type boat, like the AC boats and the offshore sailing, is that you're using different blends of materials to make sure that you're maintaining that longevity factor. Because like I say, these boats are out there racing as hard as they can for 80 days around the world. And, the sailors need to be sure that they have a reliable product. And so you kind of, when you start designing for offshore, you shift your safety factors a little bit, and you shift your materials a little bit to more durable and stronger in some ways materials. But really, really talking about the durability and the longevity of the sails, and the different blends that we have in 3DI for the offshore sector allows us to keep pushing the boundaries of the sail design and structure, and still maintaining lightweight sails, but making sure that they can last for these races.
All right, back to the top. Why do you think the French have had so much success in solo offshore sailing?
It's an interesting one. I think it's really a part of their culture much more than a lot of other places in the world. There's a lot of sailing cultures around the world, but there's something about the French culture that is really, kind of puts their heart into this sort of sailing and offshore sailing world. They have a lot of support also, from the country itself, and you can feel that when you're there and at these events, and people are there to, watch sailing, and that I really think it's part of their, it's really just kind of now ingrained in their culture. And and like we were talking before, they have a really strong path into this offshore sailing world, starting from youngish ages, like you said, in the Mini, in the Solitaire, and the, with the Figaro, and, class 40s and IMOCAs and ocean 50s. There's a lot of avenues to get into this sort of offshore sailing world.
Having spent some time there now, I have a theory that, the weather in Brittany is just so bad in the winter, they'd rather be sailing in the Southern Ocean. But there might not be a lot of fact to that.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, there could be something there. I don't know. You've been in both places now, so I don't know. A few times. So,
Max, appreciate you joining us. Enjoy some well-deserved rest after this crazy America's Cup cycle, and look forward to seeing what you sink your teeth into next. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Charlie.
Sailmaking is a science and an art, and Max has a bright future ahead of him. His North Sails colleague, Thomas Normand, heads up the sail loft in Lorient in Western France. For North Sails France, the Vendée Globe is a huge event. Over half the fleet are powered by North Sails, and many of the premium campaigns are adopting the very latest in foiling sail technology. Tom is a great guide to how the event and the skippers are preparing. Toma, for you, I mean, the Vendée Globe must be one of the biggest events of not only the year, but of the quad, as they say in France, both professionally and personally for you, I'd think. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. As you know, we've got a big family here at North Sails France, so I'm not the only one steering that. For sure. We are. I'm relying on all the engineering team, on the sailmaker. So definitely, I'm not alone. But that's a definitely big target for us. Not only for 2024, but since the last 4 years for the whole campaign.
Yeah, I think due to a lot of hard work by North Sails France, you guys will be powering a majority of the fleet as they cross the start line and, well, hopefully the finish line in Les Sables. Can you take us inside the relationship that you have with the IMOCA class and some of the skippers? Obviously it's been very successful over the past, and what does it take to establish that kind of, dominance in that relationship with the sailors?
Yeah, first, we are quite lucky here at North Sails. We've got a very, very skilled engineering team. That's starting with that. When a skipper or project is coming to us with a brand new project, we are working from the beginning with the architect, with the skipper, with their design team to work first on the study. So that could start with the flying shape. We can simulate the sails, on our computer. We can simulate the loads on the rig. We can discuss about that with the architect, making sure that we can design the most efficient set of sails dedicated to each boat. Because that's not a one design fleet. You've got a box rule, and you need to design your boat based on some rules and the IMOCA rules. But almost all the boats are different. So we need to design a set of sails dedicated to that boat. So we need to get a skilled engineering team, and then when it's coming on the production side, we can rely on all the manufacturing infrastructure of North Sails in terms of production in Minden, Nevada, or even in Sri Lanka, where we've got a very dedicated molding system with the 3DI that we can propose. So all the boats that gonna take the start of that race will wear the 3DI sails from the main sail up to the front wing and down the sails, and that's definitely a very, very interesting product to propose, and very differentiated with the concurrence, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that you have to satisfy, in this process. Certainly the skippers are part of the equation, but it's also the naval architects, it's the in-house engineers at all these teams, it's the sail makers that are doing the recuts and, the finer details that are so important when you're out there by yourself. I mean, to think of the IMOCA as a one design class, as you're alluding to, would be a serious disservice. Every single sail is different and it's unique. And there's all types of boats in this race over the 40 competitors. You have the front runners with foils and kind of narrow apparent wind angles. You have some of the boats in the back that are still in displacement mode. It's a lot to undertake. And, I think the sails need to be very versatile, for the reasons that I just outlined, but also because you have so few sails on board, comparatively speaking, for a trip around the world. So how is the versatility one of the most important factors that you have to deal with when preparing these teams for the start?
Yeah, first thing is to be able to discuss about the style of navigation of the skipper. There is a couple of combination, as you mentioned, on the sails that are mainly used downwind. Or you want to what's going to be the engagement when you're going to sail down in the South Ocean? Do you want to use more fractional sails? Do you want to get more overlap on your sail if you anticipate some less change on your in between different weather system? Are you prepared to change your sails each hour, each 2 hours, or even whatever more than the other one? And in that case, we can make the crossover and the overlap between all the sails shorter than they are for people that they just want to sail smoother than the other one. So first, that's this kind of discussion, and then when we've got the spirit of the sail set, we can go deeper on the study. We can discuss with the architect what's going to be the loads. We can go also deeper on the custom layout, because that's one of the good thing in the 3DI is that we can adapt the structure of the sails and we can make it fully dedicated on the loads that we can analyze on the rig. So we can discuss about shape, we can discuss about structure, we can discuss about overlaps, and then when it's done, the design is sent to the production site, and then here we go. We can just test it, and that's the magic, the magical side of the sail making. We can also adapt the sail, even if it's done straight after. We can reshape or we cut a little bit. We've got very, very efficient sail maker here, helping during the season the team to adapt the sails and make it as performant as they can.
Yeah, I think when you used to look at a sail inventory, you used to think of size and flying shape somewhat exclusively. But now, structure, tape layout, I mean, these are things that really play into the versatility of these sails. And then you have, the weight as well. I mean, sometimes, North Sails is capable of making sails that are light enough, certainly from a modulus standpoint, but, these sails go through such, harsh conditions, and there's a lot of sail handling that's demanded as you go around the world. So it's actually a balance of finding, how much weight you want to add, because they're capable of being much lighter than they end up needing to be because of a handling standpoint. So that's a conversation that must happen with the skippers all the time. No?
Yeah, sure. With the skippers and also with the engineering team. There is plenty of sensor within the boat. You can measure the loads on the halyard, on the tack point. You can even measure the acceleration of the boat, and we can see year after year, the impact on the waves are harder and harder because the boat are just sailing faster and faster. The apparent wind angle is smaller than years ago. So we can see less and less A2, for example, or like classical spinnaker. We can see more and more flat sails, even on the downwind set of sails. And in terms of structure, as you mentioned, the impact are so big and bigger year after year. That pushed also the design team to rethink the layout structure, because the force that we can see on the sails are not the same than 2 or 3 years ago. They are not going in the same direction. The impact are not the same. So, that push us outside of our boundaries for sure. And that will not be ended at the end of that Vendée Globe. We will try to, we are improving, trying to improve all those combinations months after months. And we are starting to think about the next generation of sails right now, and hopefully with the new feedback of this Vendée Globe that will contribute to step up as well next year for sure.
Yeah, I think the sails they're capable of being made very light. For the modulus that's the required of them and the loads that they see. But sometimes, as you alluded to, in the South, for instance, you can have a sail that's caught up in conditions that you normally wouldn't have it up in, and it needs to still continue to do its job. So I think, we end up making the sails sometimes heavier than they need to be for that very purpose. But then, particularly on the IMOCA, single-handed, you have to then move these sails around on board by yourself. So that's a big factor when it comes to sail weight as well. And, before foils, it was all about riding moment and, where you could put your sails on board in the boat to help, increase performance. And a lot of that used to be left side weight and right side weight, make sure you get everything to the high side and what have you. But now with the foil, a lot of it's more trim based, and you see the sails moving forward and aft. Because the foils are capable of creating riding moment in excess of sometimes what the boats can even handle. So it's definitely a different game, and it's cool to be part of that conversation. And I think that one of the great things that you guys do in France is that there's a lot of proprietary development that occurs before the race. And then after the race, you guys do a meeting with all the stakeholders and you talk about lessons learned and how you can progressively move the group forward for the next edition. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned the importance of the weight. For sure, for example, we are discussing, each kilos added or removed from one sail. Like we are talking about 1% of the weight of the sail, for example, for a main sail, or even less. That's shared with the team. So for example, the non-woven part of the main sail, for example, is like few kilos, less than 3, definitely. And we can, if we are going to the reef one, and those discussions are discussed each time with the team. So they are very concerned about the weight of the sail because, as you mentioned, they need to move that forward, backward, like each morning or afternoon, or as soon as the wind is changing the direction. So they need to push us a lot on the tape layout, on the weight, on the finishing also. So we never stop. We are just thinking outside of the box, making sure that we can save few grams on that side, few grams on those sides, and without compromising the reliability of the sails, for sure, because those sails needs to sail at least without any problem 80 days around the world, with sometimes 50, 60 knots of winds, with 8 meters, 10 meters of waves, with the impact that you can imagine. So the dynamic situation on the boat is very huge, and you can imagine at the top of the mast, that's crazy. So that needs to be anticipated, and making sure that we can use those sails up to the finish line.
Yeah, there's no better testing ground for sails when it comes to durability than the Vendée Globe, that's for sure.
Yeah, I never come actually at the top of the mast when an IMOCA is sailing, but maybe you did that already, and you can probably explain what you can feel, when you can hit like a waves when you are at the top of the mast and the sails are feeling the sail, during 80 days. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not a big up the mast guy. I try to go up the mast at specific times and locations, usually flat water and light air. And hopefully you're in a position where, when the conditions are really bad, you're not going up there. But I can only imagine the things moving around a lot. Anyway, I mean, that's kind of the tech side of things. How about the service side of things? With the boats now in Les Sables d'Olonne, how does North Sails continue to support the teams as the clock counts down to the starting gun?
Yeah, on the next 3 weeks, that will be more psychological help. Hopefully everything is fixed. Sails are on board. All the spare kit are delivered. We're gonna have a couple of salesmen and designers that's gonna come there shaking hands. But that will be more, making sure that the feeling is good. And now, everything is done on our side. So we just need to cross finger. The particularity of that race is that there is no help from the outside, no weather forecast help, no technical help also. So we already discussed with the team about the process of repair that can happen during the race. So they've got everything in terms of spare kit, in terms of repair process. And the next peak period for us will be after the Vendée Globe right now, to get their feedback and making sure that we can integrate that on the next generation of sails.
How about yourself? You're not leaving on the race start here for the Vendée Globe. What are you going to be doing on the day of the start? You going to be on your couch? You going to be in Les Sables d'Olonne? What are your plans?
I will probably on my couch watching the TV. That will be less wet, definitely, and much more efficient to see the start. I will come to Les Sables d'Olonne twice or 3 times for sure before that start, making sure that everyone is okay, all the clients and the skippers are fine. And as you said, the psychological aspect is quite important. Seems to be nothing, but there is a close relationship between designers and skippers, like the one they have probably with their architect, for sure. That's we're giving the power on the engine. So they just want to make sure that they've got the most efficient engine to make sure that they can be fast. That's the same relationship with the architect. So we can see that's pretty funny. When we are on the pontoon on the days before the start, we can see also all the architects that have designed the boat before. That's the same kind of community. We are passionate about what we are doing. We just want to make sure that skippers are well deserved and ready to go. And I think they're happy also to shake hands and just be fully prepared just before the start.
I remember the start of the last Vendée Globe in 2020. Nobody was shaking hands with the coronavirus. It was definitely a different scene. But I I was actually there in France, having just completed a transatlantic training run. And I watched the start from a couch of an Airbnb in Concarneau. And it is on every single TV channel. Different editions, different broadcasts. It's amazing. It really is a national event. And, for those of you that haven't experienced it, it's something quite grand. And Thomas, maybe you can just speak to the atmosphere that exists in Les Sables d'Olonne on start date. It's exciting, right? For everybody.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I don't know if that kind of event or sailing event exists around the world, but on those 3 weeks of village, you can see more than 1 million people coming to see the boat. That's huge. That's amazing. 1 million people coming to see the boat, the skippers. Just before the start, there is probably, even during the last weekend, during the weekend of the start, you can see 500,000 people with coming with your car. Just for the ambience and seeing those crazy skippers saying goodbye to the humanity almost, and they will just experience something crazy, during 80 days. Who can do that on the world? Even the astronauts can do that probably, just saying goodbye and coming back, like a few months after, and there is the fun actually, but they will not meet anyone physically during those 80 days. And in terms of media coverage, I've got a good memories of the arrival of François Gaveriaux when he won in 2012.
Yeah,
2012, I think. So the media just opened their channel, to cover the arrival of François, who won that Vendée Globe at probably 9 or 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. He was supposed to arrive at 10 a.m. or 10 or 10:30, during the morning. And he had like a big area where there were no wind, couple of miles away of the arrival. And finally he arrived at the end of the day. And, the news channel, they just opened the channel in live TV during all day long, and that was crazy. Everyone was just chasing François Gaveriaux, trying to cross the finish line during the day, and that was a huge moment for a sponsor, for sure. At that time that was massive, and the media exposure was amazing. That's followed by million of people coming physically, but through the TV, that's huge also, and the coverage is big.
Very, very cool. Thomas, we really appreciate your time, and maybe we'll even see you in Les Sables d'Olonne. Take care, my friend.
Yeah, bye-bye, Charlie.
So, many thanks to my guests this week who have teed us up perfectly for the start of the Vendée Globe. I hope everyone finds time to tune in and watch the start on November 10th. In our next episodes over the coming weeks, our goal will be to speak to some of the sailors racing at sea as they battle the elements and each other. And we'll also get some commentary from other big names in the sailing world who are watching the action on the tracker, just like us. Until then, we wish all the skippers a safe and enjoyable race, and I look forward to catching you again soon.